Hey everybody, I'm back with more Classic Fight Club. Great comments. Apparently you guys really liked them, so it's just about getting the viewership up at this point. So I'm going to stick with it for a little bit longer, see how it goes. So trying to get things going. This one is Eddie Alvarez versus Tatsuya Kawajiri in Dream 2008. It was a Dream lightweight tournament. And, of course, Eddie Alvarez won gold in the UFC. Started out his career at 170 pounds. And then he lost to a guy named Nick Thompson. Not a great welterweight, but a big welterweight. And then he realized his career was probably at 155 pounds. So, hard puncher, great boxer. One of the few Americans to kind of make his name outside of the United States at this point. So, very popular in Japan. He fought for Bodog all over the world, but really made a name for himself outside of the major promotions in the United States. That was rare in 2008. So, anyway, here we go. Kawajiri versus Eddie Alvarez, Dream Lightweight Tournament. Enjoy. Inner ring, of course. That's how fights in Japan worked. Eddie Alvarez, always a great boxer, always great footwork, always great movement. Underrated wrestling and submission game, in my opinion. But he could wrestle as well. Opportunistic with his submission game. A lot of rear naked choke finishes, stuff like that. Kawajiri, excellent boxer, good wrestler. If you know his work later on in UFC and stuff like that, I think he was past his prime. Well, he was well past his prime at that point. But had some wars in Japan. If you saw his fight with Takanori Gomi in Pride, that was a great fight. Of course, Gomi won it. Beat Shaolin, gave him his first loss in MMA. I might cover that one. But great ground and pound. Once he got on top of you, very, very, vicious when he got on top. That was probably his best weapon. A power puncher, but as we see in this fight, the problem he has with Eddie is Eddie's so aggressive. Kawajiri didn't really have a jab to set anything up with. So what he was doing is, you'll see throughout this fight, he's kind of waiting for Eddie to come in so he can land power punches. Didn't have a great setup. And the problem is letting Eddie initiate all the time. Guy's quick and throws good combinations with a lot of power. So also an underrated weapon for Eddie Alvarez. His leg kicks were brutal. His fight with Roger Huerta in Bellator, a couple leg kicks, and that was it, man. That really set the tone for everything. But that's Kawajiri's strategy. You saw it there, is wait for Eddie Alvarez to come in off a big shot and counter with something big. Hopefully wing something and catch him coming in. That's the whole strategy. But not a lot of jabs. He's not real great at that. And you see when he did throw the jab, it comes down pretty low. Doesn't bring it back to his chin very effectively. Good combinations by Eddie. Nailed him right on the chin. And Kawajiri, tough to take down at this point in his career. Very good takedown defense. Solid, strong. But he's going for it, though. And you notice about one thing about Eddie Alvarez physically, really broad back and shoulders. Just incredibly wide. Dude looks like a cobra. It lets him generate a lot of power when he throws punches. Good head movement, but his aggression led to problems, of course. Good leg kicks. In that even though he had decent head movement and footwork, he liked to come in. And when he did, he ate a lot of punches. But always good angling, never moving, never looking at his opponent. Don't become an observer. You always want to move, make your opponent react to you. And Kawajiri just waiting for him to come in to land that 1-2. Hooks and power shots. That's Kawajiri's specialty. But Eddie, as always, good speed, good combinations. I think he was ranked, depending on the ranking, maybe 5th in the world when he was kicking ass overseas. A lot of American fans, though, he was just wasn't on their radar. Nice left hook. Drops Kawajiri. You see here a lot of times when he has Kawajiri in duress on the feet and right there, he goes for a takedown. He tries to clinch it up rather than continuing with the punches, which I think would have been the best solution once he dropped Kawajiri. But Eddie had a problem at this point in his career, and you could argue throughout his career, where you would get aggressive and kind of smother his own punches. He would be so close that he couldn't land the power shot effectively. And we saw that a little bit here, but great shots to the liver. Absolutely brutal. Kawajiri might have gotten a grunt shot in there with that knee, but God, the liver shots just take all the power out of Kawajiri. And see, after this break, that right hand kind of floats, the elbow's trying to stay close to his ribs because those body shots hurt. Takes a while to get that back. Eddie goes back to the leg kicks. Nice right hand catching Eddie coming in. That's going to be Kawajiri's strategy throughout the fight. Let Eddie come in and see if I can catch him. Good combination with the uppercut there, just off balance. Both these guys rely extensively on their power punches. That's kind of what they do. Now, the referee calls timeout, and I'm not listening to the commentary, so this isn't the end of the round. The referee called timeout to check out the eye, I think. You see, checking the eye out. He's not at his corner. It's white. They're in the white corners. So they're in a neutral corner. This is something that happened in Pride and Dream, a lot of Japanese promotions. They would treat cuts and swelling in the middle of a fight if there was a break. You cannot do that in the U.S. With the unified rules. You cannot treat an injury or a cut or a swelling in the middle of a fight. If it's so bad that you got to stop it, the fight's over. You could in Japan. So you saw a couple fighters, depending on the promotion and stuff like that, get restarts or get a break because they had bad swelling or a bad cut. Now, when to check that out and when to stop a fight is more of a gray area in Japan, because in the U.S., if it's bad enough that you need a doctor to look at it and treat it, doctors can look at a cut. They can't treat it in the middle of a fight. Now, there's Eddie getting clipped and going down. This was a hallmark and is a hallmark of Eddie Alvarez's style. He gets clipped and a lot of times dropped in almost every single fight. He just does. His aggressive style lends itself to that. Now, here's a huge, in my opinion, tactical error by Kawajiri. He has Eddie Alvarez hurt. He's on top, landing ground and pound, and he decides to go into jiu-jitsu mode and try to pass and get around the guard and all. Okay, you were doing great where you were, and this is a guy with vicious ground and pound. Once again, Shaolin Hibero, one of my favorites, and I will cover some of his fights on this. He beat him with ground and pound on top. He had world-class jiu-jitsu. So I think going to that strategy of trying to pass the guard and stuff like this gave Eddie time to clear his head. This whole time, Eddie's just holding on to the head, stalling, just getting the cobwebs out. If you have somebody hurt in a particular scenario, unless you are amazing at one thing, if you're Damian Maia, okay, you hurt a guy, take him down and get on top. That's what you're great at. Stay where you're hurting him. That was always my advice when I was teaching MMA. If you're hurting a guy on the feet, stay on the feet. If you drop a guy, stay with punches. And Kawajiri switching to a jiu-jitsu strategy here. Yeah, he got full mount, but I think by this point, Eddie's head is clear. And it kind of gave Eddie the time he needed to get back in the fight mentally. Sure, he's mounted now, but also look at this tactically. He has a very low mount. His hips are over Eddie Alvarez's hips. Whenever you're in that position and your opponent bumps, you move a lot. A high mount, that bump's not going to move you as much. So Eddie's thinking, bump and roll and get out of this. The guy's hips are right over my hips. An aggressive mount is a higher mount, generally speaking. So good stability, but Eddie's thinking, hold on and bump. He's not really shrimping his hips. He's not doing the traditional mount escape. It's about waiting for the right time like this and bumping and getting out, and that's what he does. But I thought Kawajiri really might have had him hurt, but chose the wrong strategy. Now you have Eddie Alvarez swarming all over you. It's one of the best exchanges right here in the center of the ring. Both guys throwing power punches. Classic Eddie Alvarez, classic Kawajiri. The problem is you don't want to test your power punching against Eddie Alvarez. You just don't want to do that. And a lot of people are going to go, Conor McGregor did it. Conor McGregor had speed and accuracy that Alvarez didn't have. It wasn't about power. It was about speed and combinations. You could be faster than Eddie for sure. But Kawajiri wasn't that fast. Mostly relied on power. And right here, toe-to-toe, no way he's going to win this fight. Bang! Good right hand, good uppercut. And he waves off the fight. Referee does not agree. So Eddie's got to go back in there and finish him off. Stays on him. Obviously tried to call the fight himself. A lot of referees don't appreciate that. They're going to make you do more work. And he does. Boom, that's it. Great job by Eddie Alvarez. Went on to, I think it was the final of this tournament where he lost to Shinya Aoki by heel hook. I'd go over that one, but it's really quick. I couldn't make a whole video out of it. So that's Kawajiri versus Eddie Alvarez. If you guys like and appreciate and want me to still do more of these, give it a like, give it a share. See if we can get those views up, because that's what matters. I do ESPN International on Mondays. I'm kind of a roundtable show for them. I do my SiriusXM show on Thursdays. And so I tend to cover the same stuff over and over. If the May 9th thing works out for the UFC, I'm going to do the same UFC breakdowns and post-fight shows all the time. And so this gives me a chance to do something different. And if you want to see something different, support this, and I'll do a couple of them a week. So I'll do a few more, see how it goes, but I appreciate all the comments. You guys have really kept me going when it comes to comments. Every time I'm like, gosh, I keep doing these. I read the comments, and I'm like, fans really like them. I got to keep doing them. So I'll do them a few more and see how it goes. Really appreciate you guys. I'll be back for the next one.